Thanks for tuning in to Steel City Football, the 4-1-2. It's a great day to be a Pittsburgh Steeler. Let's jump right in. So, racist Ryan Clark, he has no shame at all. He's a constant race baiter. That's how he makes a living, just being racist himself and race baiting 24/7 on ESPN and on First Take. I wish the Roonies would ban him from the Steeler facilities. I'm embarrassed to say that he is an ex Pittsburgh Steeler. So he decides to go on First Take and he blames Aaron Rodgers for Shedeur Sanders not being drafted in the first round with pick 21 by the Pittsburgh Steelers because racist Ryan Clark feels that Aaron Rodgers didn't want to be the most second famous person in Pittsburgh next to Shedeur. Like, this man really has a mental disorder. His hatred of white people is so obvious. It's disgusting. How he's even employed, I have no clue. Let's jump into the video and then we'll go from there.
Could the Aaron Rodgers factors be a reason why they didn't pick a quarterback? You don't think that looms clause over
the only thing I could say is that they knew they didn't want to do anything in this draft that would deter him from picking them. And I would have to believe having a Shedeur Sanders in the building with the push that is going to be given by fans for him to play, with the push that's going to be given by outside voices, that Shedeur Sanders needs to have growth. I don't think Aaron Rodgers wanted to be the second most famous quarterback in a room.
That's a good point. I can't deny that. You grab Will Howard in the 6th round. You ain't got to worry about that noise with him.
You don't.
So
yeah. But is it worth that for Aaron Rodgers? How many years are you really going to get?
So this clown show is saying that Aaron Rodgers had something to do with Shedeur Sanders not being drafted by the Pittsburgh Steelers in the first round. It had nothing to do with Shedeur's game film, which is horrible. He was 4-8 at Colorado his first year, 8-4 his second year. He never won a major college bowl game. The bowl game that he goes to against BYU doesn't have one player drafted to the NFL, not one single player. Colorado had 4. Shedeur Sanders, 2 days before the bowl game, takes his whole team out to a strip club for 2 days straight. They come to the game, they crap the bed, they get blown out of the game. So let me ask racist Ryan Clark something. If Shedeur Sanders can't handle a BYU defense with not one NFL player on it, what do you think's going to happen when he goes against an NFL defense? You don't think Coach Tomlin, Omar Khan, Art Rooney understand this? You don't think that they watched the game tape? You want everybody to believe that Aaron Rodgers told Coach Tomlin, you better not draft him because I don't want to be the second most famous person in Pittsburgh. And if you draft him, I'm not coming. That's his logic. Like, racist Ryan Clark's IQ is probably like -35. And that's why the only thing he could do is race bait, because he's not intelligent enough to look at facts, statistics, game film, all 22 film, do some actual research. I love how the whole table there, they mock Will Howard. Just because Will Howard's a corny white boy doesn't mean that Shedeur Sanders is better than him. Now, I don't think he's corny, but that's what they're trying to imply. Oh, he definitely won't get that kind of fanfare. Ooh. We know why you're saying that. Let's look at Will Howard's resume compared to Shedeur Sanders, and it's night and day. Will Howard, the same guy that won a national championship, who played much better competition than Shedeur Sanders and was a complete stud and led his team to a national championship, that Will Howard, I'm not going to get into all the stats. And then you look at Shedeur Sanders. He plays in the Big 12. They had 5 total players drafted to the NFL from the Big 12 on defense. 5. Out of all those teams, they only had 5 defensive players drafted to the NFL. When you play for Ohio State, week in and week out, you face NFL competition. So this whole narrative that Shedeur Sanders is just so much better than Will Howard because, he's not flashy is a complete lie. All you got to do is look at the resume of Will Howard compared to Shedeur Sanders, and it's not even close who's a better quarterback. I wouldn't expect anything else from racist Ryan Clark, Stephen A. Clown Show, Molly Qerim, the insufferable white liberal woman who always with her fake outrage. She probably doesn't even know what all 22 film is. Never mind, watch it. but she's there to brainwash the populace. See, what they're doing right now is they're setting the precedent. And that's what they meant. That their whole job is to divide people based on race. That's what they do. And that's what their bosses want them to do. See, there's a very good possibility that Shedeur Sanders doesn't even make the Cleveland Browns roster. And let's just say hypothetically he gets cut. Do you know the type of racial issues and racial strife and division that's going to cause? Because these 3 or 4 racist idiots, racist Ryan Clark, Stephen A. Smith, Molly Qerim, putting it out there. See, before this part of the video started, I did a video on the other part. Stephen A. Smith was trying to say that the Pittsburgh Steelers organization, that it was more than just football, why they didn't draft Shedeur, and they were trying to insinuate that it was racism. You mean the same Pittsburgh Steelers that hired Bill Nunn to recruit players from HBCU all-black colleges to find the best talent? Those Pittsburgh Steelers, the same Pittsburgh Steelers that designed the Rooney Rule. I'm not going to get into it. I already said that the other day in a separate video. This is what they do. This is what ESPN does. This is what racist Ryan Clark does. They race bait. They love to divide people. You know what, Ryan? You know what, racist Ryan Clark? You know who you should be blaming for Shedeur Sanders falling in the draft? You should be blaming Shedeur Sanders because his game film wasn't good enough. Then racist Ryan Clark, Molly Qerim, and Stephen A. Smith, the clown, they want you to believe that the NFL is somehow racist and holding a confident black man down. I mean, they're not even embarrassed and ashamed to say those kinds of things. The NFL, of all businesses, the NFL does everything possible to eradicate racism. Everything. They have made more young black men millionaires more than any other business. And I hate using the word colorblind because you hear a lot of liberals use the word colorblind. I don't see color. For anybody to say that they don't see somebody's color is an insult to that person. Of course I see color. I don't judge people by their color, but how do I not notice if somebody's black or white or Asian or Hispanic or whatever they are? So, but when I say that the NFL is color blind, they are literally the definition of colorblind. They don't care what race you are. They don't care what color you are. If you could throw the football like Dan Marino, you are going to get drafted. And they have done everything to try to make the players see and feel like, wow, this league really cares about black people and black players and the black community in general. But that's not good enough for racist Ryan Clark. That's not good enough for Stephen A. Smith. That's not good enough for liberal, the insufferable Molly Qerim. They want you to believe that Shedeur Sanders didn't get drafted by the Pittsburgh Steelers because it's other things other than football, indicating that it's racism. You know, the same Pittsburgh Steelers that have a head coach that's black, obviously Coach Tomlin, Omar Khan, a man of color. He's a mixture of black and I think Middle Eastern. And then what they'll do is they won't blame those two guys. They'll blame the old racist owner, Art Rooney. See, this is what they're leading up to. They know that there's a possibility, and the ESPN bosses know that there's a possibility that Shedeur Sanders gets cut, and the ESPN and the management, they would love if Shedeur Sanders gets cut from the Browns because it'll be breaking news everywhere, 24 hours a day, that the racist NFL blackballed Shedeur and they cut him from the NFL. They pretend like they care, but deep down inside, for ratings and for money, woke ESPN, racist Ryan Clark, Stephen A. Smith, because their ratings are so bad, they would love for Shedeur Sanders to get cut because it would keep them employed. They're all full of shit, and every single one of them knows it. Thanks for tuning in to Steel City Football, the 4-1-2.